Yes, good evening. This is Wallace Gator Bradley, President of United in Peace, Inc. And as I start off every week, let me say to God be the glory for allowing me to have this wonderful woman by the name of Terry Marsh, who's the chairman of United in Peace, Inc. She's also the producer of this show and the executive director of this show. She directs all my moves. That's why I feel so good about that old girl there. I think I love her. But now that that's said, let's get into something that's very key to me, and that is education. Now we realize that the schools are going to open on time, and there's talk coming from Springfield, and talk in Cook County, and talk in Chicago, that the leadership within the State House and the State Senate, with Madigan being the Speaker of the House and Cullerton being the President of the State Senate, where Republicans and Democrats have came together and they have agreed to the funding for the school bill. That's Senate Bill number 1. And there's talk that the governor is going to sign that bill. So hooray, hooray, hooray. As you know, during the Bubbling Day Parade, Chance the Rapper was saying, stay woke when preparing your kids for school. It's cool to be in school. Well, Chance is looking for a new school. And he wants to go to Clark University in Atlanta. He says he don't want an honorary degree. He's serious about going to full or taking on the full load to get him a degree. And I think that's wonderful. And I just want to be on the record that, hey, he's a young man, to me, it's just my opinion, that I could follow and I will follow when he's leading me the right way. And if he's going to school and he wants to go to school and he don't want an honorary degree, he wants to earn it, I said, man, be down. Got a call on the phone. Caller, could you please state your name, voice
Yes,
your opinion, because on this show, your opinion is respected and protected. Hey, Ray, talk to me.
And I want to congratulate you about letting them lawyers know what was going on the show yesterday. They usually don't let people talk that long, but you were laying it down, man. I couldn't look away from the TV. You let them have it, and the truth, the whole truth, and nothing but the truth. But that, so congratulations. But let me say this now about ESPN. They won't let a guy because his name is Robert Lee. He's Asian. Now, what happened if they had a African American named Robert Lee? Would they change him? No, they wouldn't, because they get all the backlash from ALCU and AANCP.
Right.
So what's right is right. Am I right on this theater that if you treat one way, you got to treat them the same always?
I agree with you.
Thank
Ray.
you, sir.
What's good for the goose is good for the gander. That's what they say. There's so much that's happening. And as you know, Governor Rauner, he signed a bill and they changed the law. If an ex-felon came out the penitentiary, he's on parole, if he was seen talking with a gang member, be it his family, be it his neighbor, they could violate his parole. And it was, the Sun-Times did a major story and showed how thousands, tens of thousands, majority of them being African-American males, their parole were being violated because they stood next to a gang member. Well, the state representative by the name of Kelly Cassidy, she put together legislation with support from those in the state house, Bob Reeder, one of them, Elsie Sims, another one of the state house members, and on the Senate side, with state senators Trotter, Email Jones the third, and others joined, and they passed legislation to change that law to make it whereas if an ex-felon is in the commencement of a crime, be it with a gang member or be it with someone else, then he's in violation of his parole. But just for standing there next to a gang member and probably telling the gang member, look, man, y'all got to stop the violence. Y'all got to put those guns down. This system is going to lock you away. I just come out the penitentiary. He shouldn't be prosecuted or violated. And I'm speaking as an ex-felon. I got a pardon. To God be the glory for allowing former Governor Jim Thompson to grant me a pardon with the support of Cook County Commissioner Jerry Butler, Jesse Jackson, and a host of others. I'm glad that the governor signed that bill. And young brothers, heed the advice of the young brothers or the men and women that's coming from behind those walls, young ladies as well. Hear their voice. They can save grief and keep you out that penitentiary. They know. Something else that grabbed my attention is despite the DNA, the inmate was not freed. We're talking about Brother Coleman. The DNA came back and evidence shows that he had nothing to do with the crime that they sent him to the penitentiary for. Well, he's locked away for, 24, maybe 23 years, since 1994. He's been locked away for a crime that he didn't do. He came before the judge yesterday hoping to be released, and the judge, Porter, didn't want to release him. Judge Dennis Porter didn't want to release him until the state's attorney's office do a thorough investigation. That brings me to mind of what happened with Mark Maxson, or what's happening with Mark Maxson. Mark Maxson was an individual that was locked up for 24 years for a crime that he didn't commit. And he was released. He got his certificate of innocence. The individual who did commit the crime of killing the child, 2 years later, he ended up killing his uncle and went to the penitentiary, and that's why his DNA was in the system. So when attorney Elliot Zinger and Larry Dreyfus was able to convince the assistant state's attorney, who was working up under Anita Alvarez at the time, to do another DNA. They got a hit. They locked the individual up. I think his name was Wade. Anyway, they locked that individual up because he did not register. So you got an individual who have committed 2 murders, and they rearrested him because when he got out the penitentiary for the last murder, he was supposed to register. He didn't register and he violated his parole. Then when he got out again, he didn't register. So that gave them the right to take that man off the street for public safety. Now, I believe that Mark Maxson and all those who have been wrongfully convicted need to be compensated for the time that they have spent within that penitentiary. For those that don't know about the penal system, let me give it to you. An individual who has been charged with raping and murdering a child, he catch pure hell in that joint, and he should if he did that crime. But for an individual been locked up for 24 years and didn't do the crime, every second that he's in there, he's catching it. And for him to say he's been innocent, and he even had them do a DNA on him. He asked them to take samples of his hair, samples of his blood, and it came back where? The blood that was on the child or around the scene did not match him or the victim. This guy who was arrested, it came out that, and this from what the state's attorney made reference to when they charged the guy with the crime. They found out that he ended up giving a confession to the FBI. He gave a confession to the state's attorney. He even wrote a letter to Mark Maxson and to the parents of the child and said that he was sorry. So I think, Mr. Porter, I pray that you give this man a bond so he can be free. Caller, please state your name, voice your opinion. You got 25 seconds.
All right, real quick. Gator, we talked about this a few shows ago. This is Steve. There are more people in prison don't have no business in prison. I mean, they innocent. Now, you want to hear something. If you bring all the people out of prison and put them in the streets, and let's put the people that should be in prison who have did many things just haven't got caught. That will fill a prison and 5 other prisons. But again, we always look the wrong way. We always want to condemn people the wrong way. Just because you used to be something don't mean you got to be of that now. Everybody always get a second chance in life. It's up to you. And those people need to learn to give people the second chance in life. Admit that you was wrong. Thanks for taking the call.
Thank you, man. Thank you for calling. You're absolutely correct. I've been given a second chance. And I ain't been wasting that chance. I ain't been wasting that blessing. That's why I always say, to God be the glory. And hey, now let's get back to the matter at hand too, and that is politics. Okay? They say all politics is local. Well, hey, Jesse White, the #1 vote getter in the state of Illinois, has endorsed J.B. Pritzker for governor, along with State Representative Juliana Stratton as lieutenant governor. And there's also an individual that's talking about he's exploring a run to become the mayor against Ron. And that's the young brother by the name of Troy La Rapar, I think that's how you pronounce his name. But he was the brother that was the school principal. And he blamed the problems with the Chicago schools on Mayor Emanuel and the ad for Bernie Sanders. Okay? Strong African American man. He voiced, his voice is strong. So we're going to see what's happening when it comes to 2019. Okay? That's local politics right there. Okay? Jesse White, love you. I honor you. Okay? Honor you, man. You're number one vote getter. That was a powerful endorsement. And people think, is it because it's just about Pritzker may need more black support? Well, one of the things about this, Jesse represents the state of Illinois across party lines. Black, white, Hispanic, Asians, number one vote getter. His endorsement speaks volume to the integrity of J.B. Pritzker having the right to have that office. As a matter of fact, Jesse White said he knows that Pritzker understands the importance of the art of compromise. Okay? And back to caller. Talk to me. Your opinion is expected and respected. State your name.
Gator,
Voice your opinion.
I'm for DNA. My name is Joe. I'm for DNA when it's used right and properly and not overused. Now, what about in situations where men doing fraternity tests and they're using that and they keep that DNA and say even some member of your family, they use that for what you call familiar DNA, and somebody in your family commit the crime and they come get you? And they put you through the sweat and everything because you a member, happen to be one of your family members. And in some ways, police are getting lazy and they're relying sometimes too much on DNA.
Well, my brother, I'm hearing you. I know all things are not perfect. You follow what I'm saying? Okay. One of the things that I do, and this is what I'm telling my viewing audience, with technology being what it is, make that smartphone smart for you. I don't just take pictures where I go. I let everybody know I need to take this picture because I may need an alibi.
I understand what you're saying, but
All
like
right,
I said, sometimes your DNA is taking out your
right.
permission
I
as well.
got you. Hey, you're right. I'm with you. Like I said, it ain't perfect. But name the game because I know what you're saying. You know, I've had family members use my name and then wish they hadn't used my name because they say, hey, well, if you ain't Gator, we going to give you what we thought we ought to gave Gator. You know what I mean? Hey, but hey, back to this here. School funding deal in sight. Okay? It was just this Friday. It was Wednesday when it came out that Madigan decided not to have a vote to override the governor's veto on the Senate Bill 1 because he felt that there was some movement where the state legislative body was trying to come together with a compromise that would benefit everyone, and it did. But one of the things that Rauner got a problem with too is it says Rauner axes his new press team over the missteps with the cartoon flap. Okay, his new press people, his new super team that he called it, came out and tried to equate the fact that hey, Rauner is this new type of super white guy, and Rauner didn't want that, especially behind what happened in Charlottesville, okay, and what's happening with Trump, okay. But it is this: when you go to the ultra right, I don't know what they call that. When you go to those that believe in white supremacy, to lead your charge in a political campaign to help build your image, you're going to end up getting what you got. And when you get rid of it, it's going to be too late because it's like a disease that keep on giving. Okay? Now, this is the cartoon that they was talking about. The white male remark did not accurately reflect my views. That's what Rauner has to say because he puts those people over his campaign. That's what's supposed to be his super team that he was bringing in. Okay, so I'm telling you, people, do vote. And it's my understanding that automatic voter registration is about to become law. I've heard that Rauner may have signed that bill, but I was informed by Reverend Jackson and others that on the 29th it's going to become law anyway. And that's a wonderful thing. Automatically, that will put 2 million people on the road to vote. They should have it. When you're born, you automatically get a number. When you die, you automatically get a number. So when you become 18, you should automatically become a registered voter. That number counts too. Don't choke, vote. Where's that time, folks? If you're trying to reach Wallace Gator Bradley of United Peace Inc., my email is LAGATOR, the letter B as in boy, the number 4, the word peace, PEACE, at yahoo.com. That's LAGATOR, the letter B as in boy, the number 4, the word peace, at yahoo.com. And my phone number is 312-371-6914. That's 312-371-6914. And hey, before the time get away, we heard about the passing of a great leader, and that is Dick Gregory. I've known him personally. He worked with us, boots on the ground, when we were doing the gang summers around the country. I remember when he came to Chicago to protest. I had hair then, so I was a little nappy head guy in the 60s. But he was a stand-up leader. Remember when he ran for mayor against Richard Daley's father, the first Daley that was the mayor? He fought for housing. Strong man, spoke his mind. But the one thing that I found perplexed to me is when I read that J. Edgar Hoover had reached out to La Costa Nostra. For those that don't know what that is, that's the mafia, to put a hit on Dick Gregory. I thank God that they didn't do it. And I thank God again that they didn't do it. So, folks, it's got a few moments left. For all those who have lost loved ones, for those who have become victims of shootings, so many, too many to mention in the short time that I have, I ask my viewing audience to take a moment and pray that God's vengeance be done to those who entertain a thought to senselessly shoot and kill anyone, be it babies, be it women, be it young men, be it elders. This is a spiritual battle. And the only way to fight it, is you got to be prayerful. And prayers get answered when you put in righteous works. Walk by faith, put in righteous works, and prayers can be answered. Okay? With that, I want to say, to God be the glory. Thank you. I'll see you next week. And don't choke, vote in 2018.